Doc here for DetroitBeardCollective.com, Detroit's premier grooming company. Visit DetroitBeardCollective.com if your beard is feeling dry, scaly, if you need to maintain your beard. This day and age, there's products out there that helps you take care of your beard. Beard butters will make your beard feel softer, better smelling than ever before. The Doc actually rocked a beard earlier this spring and summer, and I actually used the beard butter. And the first time I ever used a product to take care of my face like that, because, you know, I heard that Adam was into styling, and I'm like, you know what? Let me take care of myself and actually try this stuff out. So I went to DetroitBeardCollective.com and bought the beard butter. My face actually does feel smoother. I definitely checked out the products at the Detroit Beard Collective. They got great t-shirts, oils, the ultra popular Beard Crate, which is a wide assortment of a bunch of different Detroit Beard Collective products. So definitely support those who support us, DetroitBeardCollective.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me for episode 108, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz? What's happening?
You know what we're not doing on this podcast?
What are we not doing?
We are not doing any Tigers talk. I don't care. We're not doing any Tigers talk. I'm over it. Unless Brad Ausmus gets miraculously fired in the next hour to hour and a half, we're not doing any Tigers talk. It's all football, baby. All football, all day. We're talking about Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. We're talking about Thursday, Thursday, Thursday. We're talking about Friday, Friday, Friday. And we're talking about Saturdays. Saturdays and Sundays. And it's all football, football, football.
Can't wait. As this podcast will drop on Thursday, it will be the debut for Jim Harbaugh. Finally, after 9 months of hype, we're going to finally see what the hell his
The
program is
Khaki
about.
King, baby. Restoring the University of Michigan to its rightful place atop the BCS standings.
Just before we recorded this, I asked you, you said you're going to flip back and forth between the Lions and the Michigan football game. I don't think I'm going to peek into the Lions too much. The fourth preseason game, you just kind of want to get in and out of the game without injury. There's going to be one real matchup that we're all going to look forward to see if maybe Joseph Fauria can man up and save his job, because they basically embarrassed him in front of everybody and said, hey, we got your replacement. You're going to be on your way out. So I might peek into that a little bit, but no, I want to see 8:30 Fox Sports 1. It's going to be all about Michigan. How are they going to handle Utah on the road? That's what I'm going to be doing for sure.
Dude, it's going to be a great game. I think there's so much hype surrounding this game. It's unbelievable. For a team that was, 5-7 last year, so much hype surrounding them, and that is the Harbaugh effect. We're going to discuss the Harbaugh effect. We're going to discuss the Lions and going into preseason game 4, kind of what we're looking at, what to watch for headed into the regular season. I think next week we're going to do maybe a whole show full of just Lions preview. We're going to talk about your Michigan State Spartans. They got I don't know if it's a big road test, but they're going on the road to open the season, which is really unusual, especially for a team as highly touted as Michigan State. I mean, they're a program that is supposed to win the Big Ten, possibly in the conversation to win a national championship, and they're going to start at Western in Kalamazoo. What? It just doesn't even seem right. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that matchup. And like I said, man, no baseball. If you want baseball, hey, Churko and the Crew, go check them out. You get all the baseball you can handle on Churko and the Crew. Check it out.
Now, before we get into the hijinks and hilarity of our podcast, I do got to take some grief, but I do got to get your counsel on what the hell I did to myself over the weekend. All right, so it's my anniversary. I am married now 5 years to my wife.
Congratulations.
So I'm
actually congratulations for her. I can't believe she's put up with you for this long.
Yeah, so I'm having a good time. I'm spending time with the missus. I'm like, I'm going to be comfortable all weekend. So I'm in my flip-flops, just being all comfortable, not worrying about nothing, not worrying about work, not worrying about any of the podcasts or anything like that. So it comes back to Sunday night.
So you got your Jesus shoes on. It's
Yep.
now Sunday night.
Sunday night, I'm like, you know what? I got to cut the lawn. And I'm like, I don't want to do it, but it's looking hideous. So I'm like, you know what? How do I get the best of both worlds? Do the work, but be comfortable. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it, cut the grass in my flip-flops.
That's automatic fail.
Automatic fail.
Automatic fail.
So I get done with the front of the house, And all of a sudden, I look down and I feel a stinger. And I'm like, ow, what the hell? Something bit me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm almost done. It's looking nice. I did the job, hour and a half into it. Something bit me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Why? Why has this got to happen to me right now? I'm like, fine, whatever. Go get the ice pack. All of a sudden, it gets worse. The pain, it's painful. This is a painful stinger. I don't see any bee. I don't see nothing what bit me. I don't see anything at all. So,
do you see anything coming out of? I'm guessing this happened in your foot. You got bit in the foot.
Left foot.
Anything coming out of your foot?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just a bite mark, like a typical bug bite mark, but a little bit more painful.
Okay.
So it's painful. It's hurting, and all of a sudden, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, I start feeling a reaction, and I'm like, I've never felt this before. And I'm looking, and my neck busted out, all red in hives. My face started swelling. And I'm like, this just got serious real fast. So boom, Sunday night, right to the ER. And it's my first trip ever to the ER. I've been healthy, no broken bones, no medical emergencies. I was stung over 20 years ago by a bee. But this time I got stung and I had an allergic reaction. Nothing with breathing or nothing but hives and face swelling, like massively. I kind of look like...
I really wish you would have took a picture of it and tweeted it out.
There is a picture. My wife took one.
Yeah?
So it's out there.
Can we tweet that out?
I told her to send it to you, but she was more worried about my sanity because I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, oh man, I'm breaking out. My lips are, busting out. But it's not the best picture, but it was the state of my face, swollen. So
I got to see this.
So I had a reaction to a bee sting. And now, as a result of that, I have to carry an EpiPen. And if there's a swarm of bees, that could be the end of the doc.
Was it a bee?
They say most likely whatever it was in the family of bee, wasp, could have been spider, something of the venom of whatever stung me. And because I had been stung before, he said even if it was 15, 20 years ago, whatever the remnants were in your body. When you got stung, that the venom in your body tried to fight it off and you had a reaction. So they jabbed me with steroids and in my right arm, and I got to take steroids for this week. So as we speak now, the doc is on performance-enhancing drugs. I'm on a steroid pill.
You're on like Benadryl.
No.
it's like the equivalent of Benadryl.
No, they told me...
It's not an anabolic steroid.
It's a steroid. So I'm on steroids. I feel good, too.
Yeah. You look swole.
Yeah, I look swole. So I nearly killed myself. And again...
Start calling you Rip Chisel.
And again, so now I'm officially announcing on the podcast my retirement from lawn cutting. I'm not cutting lawns anymore. Forget it.
You're hiring Dale down the street from now on. Dale, come cut my grass.
$18 to $20 is well worth it. It was an ordeal. It was scary, and it wasn't worth it. And then to realize that now I know I got a bee nest in my front by the trees.
You are the least handyman I know.
Why? It's one of the only physical things I do. And it's not going to work out.
Oh, that's horrible.
First of all, I didn't know that's a rookie move. I mean, it's comfortable.
Yes, no. You don't ever cut your grass with sandals on, man. You just don't do that.
So this is something that people know, don't they?
Well, I mean, you know what? I think you have to experience it once. You experience it once, and then never to do it again. Because I've cut my grass in my sandals before. I've tried it, and then I've ended up with stuff in my feet, and it hurts. So now I just wear a pair of junky tennis shoes, and I go out there and I cut them. I have like a pair of really scuffed up Pumas that I wear, and it works out.
See, you can't catch a break.
Wear black socks and wear a pair of scuffed up shoes. That way you don't get grass stains on your white socks, so you never see those.
See,
this is a helpful tip. Wear black socks or dark colored socks. That way the grass stains and any of the mud that gets kicked up or any dirt, you won't see it on your socks, so your socks look fine. So you just wash them like normal. They're clean. And just wear a pair of scuffed up shoes, and you're good to go.
See, that's why I love the instant support of the Periscope. D-Line Apparel messaged us and said, just outsource that job, bro.
That's right. That's right.
It's once you reach a certain status, you're working hard, you're putting in time, you're doing several podcasts a week, you're helping the patients out in the community. Just get someone to do it. It's just the best way to be.
Telling you, Dale down the street, he'll do a bang-up job.
But I'm alive. My face is recovered. I'm here to do this.
I was really hoping I came in here and you look like you climbed out of a bell tower.
I was shocked at how fast. Literally, I get in there, they jam me with the steroid in my arm, 2 Benadryls, and like 15 minutes later, it was like redness gone,
really?
Swelling down. It was done. I was in and out of the ER in like less than an hour.
That happened to my mom. We were, I think me and my sister, we were probably 8 and 10. She was 8, I was 10. And my mom used to clean houses for a living when we were kids. And my mom took us to a house cleaning job, and we were sitting there helping my mom out. And as we were loading up the car, she ended up getting stung, I think, in the foot, similar to you. I think it might have been in the leg. And all of a sudden, she got really lightheaded. She was just like, didn't feel good. So we had to go to the hospital real quick, and same deal. She had to get shot with an EpiPen. And she didn't have, I don't think, as severe as a reaction as you, because like her face didn't swell up, but she just got really kind of sick, real lightheaded, real kind of clammy. And yeah, so same deal, man. So just keep that EpiPen close.
Yeah, I gotta go get it.
Don't need you dying anytime soon.
I literally was joking around. The wife is all freaking out, and I'm like, man, in the obituary it'll say a bunch of bees got the doc. So I'm alive. I'm okay. I feel better, and I'm not gonna cut the grass anymore. I'm just gonna have to, turn my life around and get in the gym and, get in better shape. This is what you got to do. You have to, find a way to get some exercise.
We get you a stationary bike that we could put right in front of the TV, and you could just ride the stationary bike while there's Tiger games on. All right, that's fine. So you get your sports in, you get your exercise in. You're a healthy man.
All right. So
I think
now
your wife will lose her mind though.
It's the 4th preseason game. The Lions are playing the Bills at home. And there's a couple battles that people are looking into regarding the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends. So a move that kind of surprised some people and really sparked some debate, and something that we got to talk about, is the Lions traded for a tight end. And it just kind of doesn't make any sense based on the needs. But based on his stats, Tim Wright is an upgrade over what we have, because he is a 6'4", 220-pound beast who has done some damage versus the Lions. I mean, last year, if you remember, the Patriots rolled the Lions 34-9. And Wright had 5 catches, 36 yards, and 2 touchdowns against us. And they remember him, too, because when he played for Tampa Bay, he did some damage. So they were like, you know what? There's a tight end out there that's going to dominate us. Let it be someone else. So they went and traded the kicker that wasn't going to make the team, and they brought him in.
I really wanted that kicker, by the way.
I know.
I thought he was an upgrade over Prater.
Mark
it down. Mark it down right now. What's today? Today, this drops, September 3rd? So September 3rd, whatever time you're listening to this, Kyle, Brazinga? Jock says he's going to be a stud. He's going to make it in this league. I think he's going to have a better year than Prater will this year. I think he's going to make Tampa's roster. I think he's going to be more efficient, because you can't really compare how many field goals he makes, because depending on what happens when they get in the red zone or near the red zone. But I think he'll be more efficient, so he'll have a better kick percentage. I think he will miss less extra points. He will overall be a better talent than Matt Prater is right now at his career.
Here's the best part, is that I have Tampa Bay's kicker. Is it Barth? I have his
Connor
kicker.
Barth?
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to make the team. So if he doesn't, that'd be hilarious.
I'm pretty sure that was more of my trash that you picked up in our fantasy league. Because I sat there, I had him because I thought he was Denver's kicker. Denver cut him like the day after we had our draft. Went and got Denver's kicker, and apparently you picked him up too, just like you picked up Malcolm Floyd. That's all right. I picked up some of your trash too off the waiver wire.
Okay, so then a lot of people around town are mad, like, why? Why are you adding a tight end when you have some depth there at the position, and you're basically inevitably marking the end of Joseph Faurier's career? And a little bit later on, as we talk about this, I'm going to tell everyone why Adam, the jock, is partly responsible for Joseph Fauria not being with us potentially anymore.
He's a stud, dude.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing. I think it's solid. I think it's a solid move. They targeted this guy back when New England let him go. They were trying to pick him up. Tampa Bay ended up coming back around and scooping him up. You said it yourself. He's big. He's athletic. The guy's got talent. He's got hands. You got to realize, too, New England gave up Logan Mankins, who was the center of their offensive line, and a 4th-round pick for this guy. So New England was obviously high on him. They thought he was going to come in and fill in and help out with Gronkowski coming back. Gronkowski ended up coming back and being a man-child, so they don't need him anymore. So they release him. Tampa Bay comes back around, picks him up. I don't know why Tampa Bay is releasing him. There's a couple concerns here, because now this is his 4th offense in less than 53 weeks. So in just over a year, he essentially is on his 4th team. 2 times with Tampa Bay, 1 time with New England, and now with Detroit. But I think this guy is going to help out. And you might not even have to get rid of Joe Fauria. You might be able to keep his sexy ass on this roster. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you run a couple two tight end sets, right? Maybe Brandon Pettigrew might be the odd man out. Has he done anything this preseason that's really given you cause for pause with him? I mean, I like Joe Fauria a lot better in the red zone than I do like Brandon Pettigrew. And if Tim Wright can block a little bit, catch some balls, Joe Fauria can come out, catch some balls, and maybe he's been working on his blocking ability. I like having a tight end group of Eric Ebron, Joe Fauria, and Tim Wright a lot better than having Brandon Pettigrew in there. I mean, at least those guys can catch the ball, they can block a little bit, and they're athletic. Stonehands is just out there. He's a run blocking tight end. That's all he does.
Yeah, he's a run blocking tight end, but he's the best one they got. So unfortunately, I know that's what you're thinking.
I think Tim Wright might be the number one guy here at this point. I think Eric Ebron, there's still a little bit of a learning curve, and I think Tim Wright can come in. If he can digest that playbook, he might be the guy that is your Jimmy Graham-esque player, your transcendent guy in that offense who will now be your third. I mean, we've been looking at for a third wide receiver now. He might be your third wide receiver.
The consensus is, though, it's going to be a competition between Wright and Joe Fauria.
And I understand that. And I get where that's coming from, and I understand from the outside looking in, I see how that is. But talent-wise, I mean, here's the thing. The moment you cut Joe Fauria, he's going to get a call. He's going to go somewhere. It's just like the Bills cutting Fred Jackson. I mean, he's Fragile Freddy, right? But Fragile Freddy has a place in this league. The moment you cut him, Seattle was on the phone with him. Like, hey, what's up? Come see us. We got a spot for you. It's going to be the same thing. Joe has talent. There are parts of his game he needs to work on. And I think that this might just be my Pettigrew hate. I think that he is a much better commodity than Brandon Pettigrew at this time. I think you can sit there and if you want to run the ball and you want to run the ball off the left side, you can sit there and you can load up with an extra tackle, with an extra guard to take Brandon Pettigrew's spot. You can take a halfback if you want to and put it on that line and then let them be your run blocker. Because Pettigrew's not catching any balls. How many times have they thrown to him during the preseason? It's a giant donut.
Yeah, it's interesting they keep trying to fix this tight end position. They had Pettigrew, gave him an extension, then you draft Ebron. That is the biggest question mark. And now you're bringing another tight end. So you got 4 right now on the roster. They're not going to end up with 4. That'd be ridiculous. They're going to have 3 tight ends, and I do believe it's going to be Wright, Pettigrew, and Ebron. And unfortunately, Joseph Fauria, the reason why I blame you
Please tell me why.
Last year on a podcast.
This is interesting.
Yes, last year on a podcast.
Did you go back and listen to it?
No. It was obvious because last year you came in on a podcast and you were like, you know what? Joseph Fauria is a man around town.
He is. He's a stud.
So
his girlfriend or whoever she was smoking hot, bro.
Yeah. So you put out there on a podcast that's listened by a lot of people that, right now the Lions culture is PG, baby, all day. You don't fit with Reverend Caldwell and what they're doing.
With Big Rev Run, huh?
No, that's a guy that kind of whispers are that, hey, he was missing practice and then showing up at bars, dancing his, allegedly having a good old time in the bars. And you saw him there. So I don't think he fits in.
It was after a game, though. I think it was like on a Sunday night. Me and my degenerate friend were out and about running around town, and it was like a whole group of them. Like Reggie Bush was there, Joe was there, DeAndre Levy was there. I mean, there was a whole bunch of dudes there. Ross was there, Jeremy Ross was there. I mean, they were all there. They were having dinner. It wasn't like he was boozing it up.
Yeah, I just think potentially football related wise, he hasn't been as productive as his first year.
So wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. You're saying it's not so much his talent on the field, it's his preparation and his mindset off the field that's probably getting him booted from this team.
I think potentially right now the Lions are filling that locker room with a bunch of nice guys who are going to fall in line and are not going to cause too much drama. You remember a couple years back, the Lions were filling the police blotters left and right, and we were coming here going, what the hell's going on with the Lions? Every couple of days we got to check
You had dudes eating marijuana and potpourri. Like, what kind of idiots are on this team? You're absolutely right.
So Caldwell comes in and just completely changed the cultures, bringing in guys that are really in line. There's really been no stories coming out of Allen Park. It's just basically everyone's falling in line. They got healthy competition, and they're going forward. That's what they're doing. So maybe Fauria might not fall in line with what they're doing now.
Can I bitch about Brandon Pettigrew for a little bit here? We could have had Ray Maluga. I thought when the Lions, because I remember this, the move up to get Brandon Pettigrew, I remember it vividly. I had sat there, I had ran out of the house real quick. I had to go get something because I was making dinner or something like that. Had to run to the store. I jump in the car, and this is back when 97.1 used to broadcast the draft. So 97.1 has the live feed of the draft going. I get in my car, drive home, and they're like, we have a trade. The Detroit Lions have moved up and traded with, I don't remember who it was. And I was like, oh, this is the pick, because we needed linebacker help at this time. We didn't have really anybody at linebacker. And I was like, oh, this is the pick. This is going to be great. We're going to go get Ray Maluga. Because you got to remember, at this time, Ray Maluga was a stud. I mean, the only bad thing he did was he mimicked humping Erin Andrews while she was on camera at this time. Do you remember that? Kind of jog your memory, kind of put you back in that time and place. So I'm like, oh, we're going to get Ray Maluga. I was so giddy. I pull up in my driveway at home. I'm sitting in my car and I got whatever I got from the grocery store and I'm waiting for the pick to come down. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. We got Ray Mel. I couldn't believe it, right? Because he was the next one to go off the board. And the pick is in, and the Detroit Lions take tight end, Brandon Pettigrew, out of Arkansas, I think. I was like, who? What? I was like, you moved up to get a tight end? We don't need a tight end. We need linebacking help. What is Ray Mel Lucas? And now look at Ray Mel Lucas. He's a stud. He's a stud in Cincinnati. And he's got sweet hair. And looks like if you met him in a dark alley, he might eat your face, but he seems like a really nice guy.
Well, then,
and we get stone hands.
To continue to spark your anger, another second-round pick went away in the first round of cuts.
There you go. Your boy, Ryan Broyles.
Ryan Broyles.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, when we picked him, we all said, oh, man, the ACL injury. We're all like, are we being too critical? Are we being hypercritical with the Lions? They got another bust in the second round.
They can't get a pick. Thank God Amir Abdullah looks like he can do something. Let's just be honest, because their string and their draft picks in the second round have been total misses. Kyle Van Noy looks like he's going to fall flat in his face and going to be a total bust. The guys you could have had for Ryan Broyles blows my mind. Insane, dude. It just, at the time, you drafted a wide receiver when you totally didn't need a wide receiver at that time. And you go out and you get a guy who, yeah, he set the career mark in college football for receiving yards and receptions. And he was a total bust. He was in college. He was coming off of a blown out knee. So then you draft him. He has another blown out knee. Then he has a ruptured Achilles. I mean, the guy couldn't stay healthy to save his life. It was insane.
And then earlier, you know what? Before he got cut, I was kind of disappointed that he got praise for basically being normal, for not being an idiot.
Yeah, for just being grateful, right?
No, not for being grateful, for the fact that, hey, he just decided, hey, I got $1 million contract. I got money in the bank.
You're talking about his living on $60 million a year?
No, it'd be nice if he did, but $60K a year.
60,000, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he comes out and he's like, you know what? I'm going to be smart with my money. I'm not going to make stupid investments like the majority of these athletes do. And he gets credit for basically being normal like the rest of us.
Yeah, for living within your means.
Not to knock the guy, but that's what all these athletes should do. Save your money. Don't live like you're on Ballers on HBO, and just save your money and do the right thing. But the majority of these athletes don't know how to potentially save their money, and he got great credit. And, you know, everyone's saying he's a nice guy. He came out with that nice, letter to Detroit and da-da-da-da. But he knew the writing was on the wall. He asked for his release. He knew, because, when you're playing in the fourth quarter of preseason games, that's basically like, oh, shit, I'm not going to be on this team. So him and, Taylor Mays read the writing on the wall, and they were like, not for us. So they asked for their release, and they're not with the Lions anymore.
All right, here, how about this? You could have had Levante David as your linebacker. If you wanted to go wide receiver, you could have had a guy like Ruben Randall, tight end Dwayne Allen, right? Because they've always been trying to fill tight end. Could have had Dwayne Allen. Ronnie Hillman, if you were looking for a running back, I mean, he's okay. He's still in the league, right? Devere Posey, if you wanted a wide receiver, he's kind of not real good. You could have went with Russell Wilson. I mean, At the time, we weren't looking for a quarterback because we had Matt Stafford, but you could have went Russell Wilson. I mean, it's just insane, the guys that were still there that they totally missed on. And they do this all the time. Mohamed Sanu, if you were that hard-pressed to fill wide receiver, you could have had a guy like Mohamed Sanu. I mean,
it's disappointing.
Missing on picks again. That's why when you look at the Lions organization as a whole, these are the signs and things that they do that prevent them from consistently getting to the playoffs and being a winner. This is what you have to build depth. You can't continue to build the way they have been. You have to bring in guys, and hopefully the drafts in 13, 14, 15 can come to fruition. I was watching NFL Network, and they did a Football Life Jimmy Johnson. And they were kind of running through what Jimmy Johnson stepped into when he took over Dallas. And they talked about the what was the name of the running back that they traded. Anyways, they're talking about that trade and everything that they got back in return. And Jimmy Johnson made a great point. He was like, it wasn't just the fact that we got all those picks back in return, because those picks are useless if you miss. You can't miss on those. It's cheap young talent that you need that will bolster your roster. And they were going through showing his draft picks. I'll be damned if that guy didn't hit on 5 out of 6 of every one of those draft picks. It was insane. Even the guys he missed on, he was able to turn around and trade for something better. It was unbelievable the way he drafted. He was able to take a whole heap full of draft picks and turn them into something. The Lions, on the other hand, sit there and take a whole heap of draft picks, and you get like 1 or 2 guys out of the deal. You can't have an organization like that. That's why you end up paying a guy like Ndamukong Suh $90 million, or you restructure his contract 5 times. So now you're carrying dead money into this season. Insane.
See, that's why
you got me so fired up, dude.
That's why we got the Periscope here. Herschel Walker, bro.
There it is, Herschel Walker. The Herschel Walker deal.
Thank you to the Periscopers.
Thank you, Periscopers. I just totally skipped my mind there.
So, yeah, the Lions don't build consistently with the draft, and you've had draft years just going back 3-4 years where there's nobody left. Nobody left. That's really kind of unheard of, and that's why this team struggles. And now you're looking at a situation where now you've lost another second-round pick. Ryan Broyles is not going to be on the team, and really, in all essence, he's not even going to be slotted to be that 4th, 5th receiver anywhere he goes.
No.
He's slow.
He's constantly injury-prone, right? He doesn't have speed. And the one thing in this league that kills, speed kills in this league. You have to be fast, and you have to be sure-handed. And those are 2 things he's not. And you got to look at what he was behind, too. He was behind a guy like Lance Moore. He was behind a guy like Jeremy Ross, Greg Salas, TJ Jones.
Corey Fuller.
These are all guys who are ahead of him in just the wide receiver battle. So, I mean, they're trying to fill, I think, 2 more spots on the wide receiver depth chart. And I don't see you getting past a guy like Lance Moore, who's really familiar with the offense. A guy like Jeremy Ross, who can do double duty because he can do special teams. He couldn't do special teams. He couldn't return punts. He couldn't return kickoffs. You said it yourself. He's not fast. On top of it, do you really want a guy who's made out of glass out there catching punts? It's like the most dangerous play in football. You're going to get annihilated. You got a guy like Greg Salas who's a bigger target and has performed better in the preseason. TJ Jones, they drafted him. I think he's going practice squad all day long because they're not going to have a spot for him. But, I mean, you just invested a draft pick in that guy. You're going to keep him. It's just what's going to happen. So, there was no spot for him. He kind of doomed himself because he couldn't stay healthy. It was just a bad draft pick.
D-Line Apparel on Periscope wonders if Broyles would be an interesting fit in Philly with Bradford over there. You know, and thinking about Ryan Broyles.
No, he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the speed to keep up with that offense. That offense is predicated on being fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting to the ball, making receptions. He doesn't catch the ball well enough, and he's not quick enough as a player at this point in his career.
Yeah, if right now he got the best opportunity to make another squad in that he got released pretty quickly, but it doesn't look like based on his talent, the fact of his abilities to get open, and right now this league, to be a wide receiver, there's very few positions out there where you can be slow and be like that. You know, Roy Williams was a wide receiver similar to that. Early in his career, he was big and he could catch the ball, but as his career progressed, you saw what happens.
I was going to say,
when you're that slow, you're easily covered.
The place where he might be able to fit in the best, and they don't have any room for him over there, but it'd probably be a place like Dallas. You've got your stud wide receiver in Dez Bryant. You've got Terrence Williams, who's a beast, right? So now you can take a slower wide receiver, fit him along inside, and have him run underneath and just make little catches. He'd be a possession receiver is all he would be. He'd be a slot possession receiver, but I don't think they have any room on their depth chart for him. So he's not going to fit.
So now, speaking of wide receivers, you've named now the key wide receivers in the competition. Salas has impressed. Corey Fuller and Jeremy Ross are more of the special teams guys, but they make plays. Your thoughts on the wide receiver competition and who's going to end up probably being the 3rd target in your mind? It's a good competition. It's good, healthy. They got depth there. Golden Tate and Calvin are going to be productive. The question mark is Salas going to be a guy that's going to make the team? Is TJ Jones going to take a step up? Corey Fuller has made some plays in the preseason. Jeremy Ross is a guy with elusive speed, and he's the guy that's going to, be the guy that's going to be the kick returner, going to make key plays. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be that complementary receiver, because we've always been looking now, that 3rd receiver, who's it going to be? Lance Moore was brought in, and he knows the system pretty well. What do you think?
I think Corey Fuller's going to be your 3rd guy, but I think if you're looking to fill 2 more spots, which I believe they're trying to do, I think a guy like Lance Moore has the inside track because he's familiar with this offense. He's out there. He's trying to coach these guys up. He's almost a player's coach at this point. I don't think he possesses great speed. I don't think he possesses incredible hands, but I think he possesses a familiarity and an understanding of the playbook. So he'll get it based on that. And I think your other guy is going to be Jeremy Ross, because if something happens to a guy on special teams, he's there. You can plug him in. He gives you more value, more flexibility. I would like to see a guy like Greg Salas be on this team because I think he's done a lot. And I don't know if he's done enough, though. I think he's done a lot of good things. I like him. He's a bigger target. I think he's performed well. I think he's done a lot of good things in the limited action that he's seen with the number 2s. TJ Jones, I don't even know what he's done this preseason. And I don't think I think he's practice squad all day long. Maybe next year you get a shot. but I think he's going to go to the practice squad. I think they'll hold on to him strictly because they drafted him. That's the only reason.
Did you see the top 100 rankings? And there's a big omission. Matthew Stafford's not on it. Matthew Stafford was not ranked in the top 100 football players this year. And I was like, wow, man. He was ranked as a top 15 quarterback. He's had a good preseason, and he's a guy that is taking the next step, I think. I know it's the preseason, and everyone's like, calm down. It's not going to be that big a deal. But to not rank him in the top 100 NFL football players is kind of fascinating.
Well, here's a question for you. Do you think a lot of those lists basically get predicated off of what happens with fantasy football? Because I think fantasy football at this point in our culture plays such a big role, especially in all these lists. Like if you look at the top 100 on the NFL.com or on NFL Network, everybody who's basically listed, I mean, yeah, they've got like guys like J.J. Watt, but a lot of these guys they're big time fantasy producers. And even if you run with defensive guys in your fantasy league, J.J. Watt's going to be there because he's a stud, right? I mean, the guy caught 2 or 3 touchdowns last year? Insane. And a guy like Ndamukong Suh blows up your line all the time. So he's going to be on that list. And you got other outside linebackers. You got other guys who make huge impacts, like guys who intercept the ball, like a Glover Quinn or whatever. But fantasy is so prevalent in our world today that's what's going to happen. I don't even think he was a top 100 guy in fantasy this year. So that being said, I don't think he's going to make that list. So it doesn't really surprise me.
A guy like Matthew Stafford has all the tools needed to be a big-time quarterback. Big arm, reads the field well. Since his early injury issues where he was having, shoulder injuries and he wasn't on the field as much his first couple years, since then, he's been a gamer. He's been knocked around a little bit, but he's been in the games and he's been effective. And yes, we always hit on the point that we want the ultimate success in the playoffs. Based on what we've seen and what you expect to see, you're supposed to get better between your 5th and 6th seasons, and he's gotten better, and now he's going into his 7th season. We expect that next progression for consistency. This is the prime years, and I'm so hoping, as a Lions fan, if we miss out on success with Matthew Stafford, it's going to set the franchise back another 5 years. So this season and next season are going to be super important because the talk will start. Obviously, it'll start here. It'll start on the stations. It'll start out there, for those who are watching us. They may start talking if he's not successful about bringing in a new quarterback. I mean, I was really shocked, and based on what we've seen, it's not going to come to fruition. There was a small segment, small as it may be, that thought Kellen Moore could come in and play good based on what his couple of passes. But that's how bad we're starving for success. That's how bad everybody wants the Lions to be successful. That even if it's not Stafford, they'll look to a guy like Kellen Moore and Orlovsky and be like, maybe him. But it has to be Stafford. If it's not Stafford, we're going to be have big time problems.
Let me put it to you like this for just a frame of reference. Looking at what ESPN ranked as their top 300 for fantasy. This is just going off of a standard league. He's 175th.
Wow.
He's your number 16 quarterback. Guys like Ryan Tannehill, Sam Bradford with no knees is ranked above him. Eli Manning in his open mouth, throwing interceptions, mouth-breathing self is ranked ahead of Matt Stafford. So he's not even in half of the top 300, and that takes out all defensive players. So, no, it doesn't shock me that he's not in your top 100. It doesn't blow my mind. I mean, he's buried so far beneath everybody else. And I think a lot of it has to do with the inconsistencies he has. Yes, he has a big arm, and that's great, but he turns the ball over too much, right? Last year, the big thing with that offense was they were trying to corral him. They were trying to keep him contained, trying to get him out of his own way. So they limited him in what he was doing with that offense. I think this year, he's going to have a much more productive year. I think they're going to allow him to go deep a little bit more. You've seen in that preseason game where he hit Golden Tate with a 60-yard reception down the line. I think there's going to be more big chunk plays like that this year. I think this year he has a better understanding of the offense, and I think he knows that he has to kind of control himself a little bit. And I think he realized, last year was just used to send a point home. We don't need you to sit there and win games for us. We need you not to lose games for us. That was the whole point last year with trying to keep him contained, was you don't have to go out there and you don't have to throw for 600 yards and you don't have to have 5 touchdowns. Our defense is good enough. It's going to win us a game. We need you to go out there and put timely points up. We need you to be smart with the ball. We need you not to kill us. Please don't kill us. And I think now he realizes that, and I think he has a better understanding of this offense. I think it's all going to kind of come together this year for him. And I expect next year when we're doing the same exact podcast, I expect him to be much higher than 175. I expect him to crack that top 100 then. Fantasy plays a huge deal in all these lists that you see that get released, whether it be from NFL Network, NFL.com, ESPN, RotoWire, whoever. I think fantasy plays such a big deal in all of it. And he's a lower end fantasy quarterback. I mean, he's not even like, there's that tier. He's not even in that next tier. He's like a tier or two below that. And that's just where he's at. Ryan Tannehill's ahead of him. Come on.
Now, I want to bring up something that's really fascinating. And when you look at the Lions, they have really kept information really quite secretive. You know, DeAndre Levy hasn't practiced in a week. Not a coach, I don't think. Have you seen anything as to what the hell's wrong with him? What's his projected timetable to return? They are really keeping things super tight. And Jim Caldwell, when he does his press conferences, is so by the book. It is unbelievable. I'm trying to decide who's more boring, him or Jim Harbaugh in the press conference. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, Jim Caldwell. I respect that. On some level, he's very ultra professional. This is the culture he brings, and that's that. But to try to listen to it, it's really ultra boring. But there's no information coming out. DeAndre Levy hasn't practiced. We don't know when he's going to come back. And, there's still a question mark with Nada and Bell. They have been activated, but we don't know if they're going to return or not. So really, out of Allen Park, they are keeping things tight-lipped. But are you concerned at all regarding this news recently with DeAndre Levy? It's kind of concerning. He's the big addition, big signing that we got. And we re-signed him, and it's important that he's a key factor in that defense. We can't lose him.
He's actually the big factor on that defense. But to be honest with you, I was totally surprised that he was even hurt. I was actually on my way to the studio, and I ended up getting this notification that he was hurt, and I was like,
he hasn't practiced in a week.
I didn't even know. How do I go without knowing that he hasn't practiced in a week? And all I do is I sit there and I try to digest as much information on these Lions, on these Wolverines, on these Spartans as I can possibly digest. It shocked me. I was stunned. I was like, what? Does it concern me that all this information is tight-lipped? No, I think it's great. I think it's good. You look at the really good organizations, and I always point to New England when I need to point to a really good organization. New England does this all the time. New England will say that Stephen Gostkowski has a broken leg and he's out there kicking balls. You know what I'm saying? So misinformation and stuff like that doesn't bother me. The fact that it's tight-lipped, even better. I think what you're seeing is a culture shift. You have to remember, years ago when Matt Millen was running these things, all kinds of information was coming out. All kinds of stuff. You were just like, why are they talking about this? Like, they shouldn't be letting everybody know this stuff. Basically, everybody else would have information before the guys upstairs would have information. That's how bad it was. Now, airtight. It's like a freshly sealed mason jar. Nothing's getting in, nothing's getting out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool with it. What I'm really interested to see is I want to see what Haloti Ngata does. I need to see him in this fourth game. And he might play, he might not play. But I need to see what kind of impact he's going to make on this defensive line. He's the guy who I really need to look at and I really need to see. I'm not worried about DeAndre Levy. He can sit for the next 2 weeks, and that's fine. As long as he's ready to go when they go to San Diego, that's all that matters. But I need to see what Haloti Ngata does. I mean, you got to realize this is a guy who's been a 3-4 his entire career. Great run stopper. And the scheme that he was using in that 3-4 is totally different than what they're doing in this 4-3. He's got new responsibilities. He's got a new style of play. It's not just get there and stop the run. He now has to read and then react. It's totally different. So how does he adjust? What's he going to do? Does he command that double team? Because he's a massive human being. Does he command that double team? And does that allow guys like Ziggy Ansah in other ends in different defensive tackles to either sit there and get to quarterbacks or stop the run or just help that defense facilitate and do what it has to do? So that's my big concern. Not so much DeAndre Levy and what DeAndre Levy's going through, because I think he'll be fine. A guy like Kyle Van Noy, I have concerns there because undisclosed injury, and there's all this talk that he's going to miss significant time. And then 2 days later, you turn around, he's on the practice field, and he's like, I feel great. I feel really good. Like, what? Like, so much misinformation going on here. This is going in too many different directions here. What's really good, you know?
You might have saw The Magic Doctor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I understand completely.
Good old cortisone shot there.
Good old cortisone. Dr. Cortisone, help him out. Mm-hmm. But with Haloti Ngata, dude's got a lot of miles on that body. 11 years in the league, and like a guy like Fred Jackson would have killed to stay with Buffalo, but he got cut. Haloti Ngata, same thing. He spent a significant amount of time with Baltimore, won a championship, but then at that point in time, he wanted that money, and he got some with Detroit. and he's going to be effective. I do believe he's going to command some attention, but not as much as Sue. So this whole no Sue, not a problem ordeal that's going on is all PR. It's a problem. Haloti Ngata is an experienced veteran. He's going to help the guys out. But is he going to produce what Ndamukong Suh did? No.
Okay, well, here's a question for you. The familiarity with this defense, now you couple in Haloti Ngata, subtract Ndamukong Suh. Are they at least where they were, or are they somewhere close in the neighborhood of what they produced last year? You got to remember, last year, for most of the year, they were the number one defense. I think in the end of the year, they were number 2 overall defense. Can they be at least top 5 with the addition of Haloti Ngata, the addition of another year with this defensive system, and you take out Ndamukong Suh?
Yeah, I do believe that with the improvement of Ziggy Ansah, with Jason Jones, with Haloti Ngata, you're going to have a decent defensive line. And the linebacking core is solid with a little bit of depth. The question is going to be at corner, how are they going to handle now the increased pressure that they're going to see eventually? And I do believe I don't think they're going to be a top 5 defense just based on the tough schedule that they have. And right away, you're going to see in the first 5 games how tough it's going to be because we're going to play some high quality elite quarterbacks. But I do believe with the scheme and with the improvement of the players already on the roster and with Haloti Ngata kind of doing his thing, then you're going to have a defense that can be respectable. It's not going to take, a total decline like you might expect, but it's not going to be the same because Ndamukong Suh, you got to remember, he commanded a massive amount of attention, and that helped everybody get to the quarterback, and that helped out the defense massively. But he's gone now. He's gone on to greener pastures. But the defense, I do believe, is going to be successful under Terrell Austin, and I'm looking forward to it. But Haloti Ngata is just not going to come in right away in his first 2-3 games and just dominate. That's not going to happen. He's got to get into football shape. You don't just show up on the field, even if you are a veteran, and just dominate. It's not going to happen.
Especially a man that large, too.
No, it's not going to happen.
This is something I don't think people fully understand. There's being in shape, and then there's football shape. And then there is being a massive human being like Haloti Ngata is. He's giant. Like, he's not fat. That guy is solid, but he is solid, like, in shape. He's not solid in shape in football shape. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. Like, you're right. He's going to need at least a game or two to really sit there and get kind of caught up. And now couple that with learning a whole new defensive scheme in your first year as a guy who is taking over for one of the best defensive linemen in the game today. Couple all that together is going to be a little bit of a learning curve.
Now, we've had a decent preseason. The Lions are poised to get this season off to a good start on September 13th. There's going to be some great competitions. The final cut is going to be interesting to see who makes the top 53. It's going to be a good week to pay attention to the Lions. Just get out of the 4th preseason game. It's at home versus Buffalo. When this podcast comes out, it'll be tonight. It's going to be one of those things where you can peek into it, but for me personally, I'm going to be tuning into Michigan and Utah, and we're going to talk about that game, preview that game next, as well as previewing
before we do that,
Michigan State and Western. Yep.
Yes, before we do that, can I just make my unadulterated plea for Zach Zenner to make this team?
Of course. He's going to make the team. Don't worry about it.
He has to make this team.
Don't worry about it.
After what he did in Game 3, he has to make this team. I don't care if George Wynn's a local guy. I don't care what George Wynn brings to this team. Zach Zenner is too powerful. He's too quick. He's too good of a passing option coming out of the backfield. He's too good at everything to not make this team. If they cut him,
what's going to happen?
You mark my words. He's going to get scooped up and he's going to be a star. I don't think he's going to be a Abdullah star-like, but I think he's going to be a stud in this league. I think he will have a place on a team. You know what? He will start off like a guy like a Danny Woodhead, where you're like, who is this guy? He's small, he's little, he does a whole lot of good things, but he does them productively, right? Give him a year and watch what happens. The guy will blossom. He's got a lot of talent, man. He needs to be in this rotation with these running backs. He does everything that you need a guy like him to do. He can sit there and move the pocket. He can sit there and push the pile. He can get you those yards. He can catch the ball. He's fast. He's got speed to get away from guys. He needs to be on this team. And if he doesn't, I might lose my mind.
Yeah, he's already spawned some great nicknames. ZZ Pop, the Zen Den from the D-Line Apparel. And people are agreeing with you on Periscope for sure. Of course he's going to be picked up. He's done enough to warrant some attention. I think he's going to make the team. He's got a spot here. I don't think that unless he has a horrid fourth preseason game, it's not going to be a question. He's going to be on the roster. He's earned it, and he's done a good job, and he's going to be, hopefully, picks up the system very well and be productive force, a guy that can be, another offensive force that we need. And hey, if you can surround Matthew Stafford with one more offensive weapon, by all accounts, let's do it. Let's do that.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me almost a little bit like a Jamal Charles. Okay. And I know you laugh, and I know you want to give me the crazy buzzer. All right. And you're right. The sample size that we have to look at, you can't really make that comparison right yet. But if you look in small samples at his body of work, he's fast. He's elusive, right? He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can sit there and run through. He can run through the tackles, right? These are all things that Jamal Charles can basically do. It's just he's not as prolific. And I don't think maybe he has the speed of a guy like Jamal Charles, but I think he's quick, and I think he's fast enough to where you can sit there, and if you were to extrapolate his small sample size and look at it, and you were to put it up next to a guy like Jamal Charles, put their footage up next to each other and watch. There's some similarities there. That's all I'm saying. There's some similarities there.
Listen, man, Vinny from the Motor City Sports Rant has predicted them to make the playoffs. You are loving on play. Yes, Vinny.
He's like the most staunch Lions hater. He hates the Lions.
This 2015 preseason has slowly but surely started to change a little bit. It won't take until a couple games before you're back to reality, and I'll keep you back in reality. It's the Lions, bro. It's the Lions.
It is the Lions.
It might not take a quarter or two. You never know.
What did you say? You said 8-8, right? I said 7-9.
It might not take a quarter.
It might not take a quarter.
It might take one quarter of the first game for all the tweets to start flying in as to how bad this team is. But we're going to keep our faith. Like I said, the theme of the 2015 preseason was positivity. So far, so good. We haven't played a game yet, so let's keep that train rolling. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick timeout, and we'll come back and we're going to preview Michigan versus Utah and Michigan State versus Western Michigan. Stay with us. Get those Periscope comments lined up. We'll read them, answer them, and we're going to definitely talk about Jim Harbaugh, and we're going to talk about college football.
The Khaki King, bro.
Right after the break. Doc and Jock, episode 108, DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
Doc and Jock here for Fanatic U. If you're looking for some sweet sports swag and you love your Detroit teams, and I mean you really love your Detroit teams, you got to check out FanaticU.com. Check out FanaticU.com. Use promo code DSP. Save 15% even off the clearance items. And get the coolest gear out there and rock your Red Wings shirt. Rock your Lions shirt. Rock your Old English D to the Tiger games. Rock your Piston apparel. Wear it till the wheels fall off. Michigan State, you know what? They got it too. Check out Fanatic U. They have 6 locations all over Metro Detroit. Check them out. FanaticU.com.
I want to tell everyone out there about DetroitSportsNation.com. They're a great website, and they've been very supportive to all the shows on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. They host all the podcasts. They have great writers that cover all the Detroit teams, all the college teams. Check out their website and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. The collaboration has been excellent, and it's helped us to continue to grow and have great guests take phone calls. So our collaboration with the Detroit Sports Nation has really been successful, and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. All right, thanks everyone for sticking around and downloading another episode of the Doc and Jock podcast. Thank you for finding us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, the DetroitSportsNation.com website. We greatly appreciate those who have been helping us and supporting us through our project. We greatly appreciate those who are watching on the Periscope. Every avenue of social media, we love it. We love interacting with the fans and producing great podcasts 3 to 4 times a week. It's all good, brother. And now it's finally here. Finally, after 9 months, the hype train is finally starting to rub some people the wrong way. You know, earlier today, Devontae Booker, Utah's running back, came out and said, dude, all this Harbaugh nonsense is pissing me off. It's annoying. For 9 months, all you've heard is Jim Harbaugh's the savior. He's the greatest thing on earth. He's the guy that's going to walk into Ann Arbor and take over the town. Now you're going to get a chance to put your money on the table.
It's the best thing since Zingerman sandwich, bro.
We're going to finally see what the hell is going to happen. Now, the depth chart was released earlier this week, yet the quarterback potentially hasn't been named, but it's going to be...
Dude, nobody's been named. It's or all over the place. It's either this guy or this guy. It's this guy or that girl and that girl. It's ors galore.
You know what? We can say it's going to be Rudock. No problems.
It is going to be Rudock. It has to be Rudock. You realize Jake Rudock's got 34 more touchdowns than Sugar Shane does? Do you realize that? Do you know how many touchdowns Jake Rudock's thrown in his career? 34.
There you go.
So Sugar Shane has 0.
No
Shane
doubt
Morris
about
has
it.
0 touchdowns. In the meantime, Jake Rudock has 15 more interceptions, but that's because all that Shane Morris throws are interceptions.
So now the game is upon us. The national media has fallen in love with Jim Harbaugh. All the coverage went his way this summer.
Dude, they are fawning over him.
Oh my God, it's bad. It's really bad. I've never seen anything like it. And he had success in the NFL. He had success in college. But this level of attention really speaks to how bad Michigan fell to, because they need anything to kind of get the hope back that, hey, we're going to be successful. Now, the first game is going to be imperative for Jim Harbaugh to stamp his mark on, the university. If Michigan comes out and lays an egg, it's going to be bad. Most people aren't expecting them to win, but right now the narrative is it's going to be a tight loss. Most people are thinking anywhere between a 3 to 7 point loss for Michigan, just due to the fact that Utah had success against them last year in Ann Arbor. It's a home game. Utah plays very well, and Utah has a lot of skill players still on that offense, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Michigan to stop Utah at home.
Utah's returning 15 starters on offense and defense. They have a 4-year starting quarterback. So yeah, this game's going to be really tough. On top of that, you hadn't just sat there intangibles like Utah winning 7 straight home openers dating back to 2008. You remember what happened in 2008?
Do tell.
That was when Utah came and played Rich Rod for his first game at Michigan, and they ran a train on Michigan then. So there's some history there. So yeah, this is going to be a difficult game. On top of it, Michigan has to go on the road to Utah. All right? That's not easy. It's not easy at all. But you know how Michigan wins this game?
Oh, you're using the W word?
I'm going to tell you how Michigan wins this game. It's all defense. All defense. It's hoping that, because we both assume and we're both going with Jake Rudock's the quarterback here. Jake Rudock needs to be a game manager, needs to make timely throws, needs to sit there and help give that offense a chance. But this game has to be won on defense. That defensive line is going to have to sit there and contain the running game. They're going to have to contain the quarterback. And basically what it boils down to is do your job. Do your job. All you have to do is, if you have an assignment and your job is to sit there and line up in this gap, you line up in that gap. Don't try doing too much. The moment that they start doing way too much, they're going to get pulled out of position. It's going to open up holes, and Utah's going to run all over them. It's going to be a mess then.
I want to disagree with you on one point. Last year, in the game, I looked in my preparation, I kind of looked more towards the film and the game last year. Mm-hmm. So Devontae Booker, the man who came out and called Harbaugh annoying,
yes,
last year had a monster season, was decent. 1,512 yards, 10 touchdowns.
They stuffed him in that game.
Yes, the game versus Michigan only had 34 yards, 2 catches for 9 yards.
That's right.
So they were able on defense to stop him. Mm-hmm. And I do think that knowing that they do have the ability to potentially stop him and limit him.
But what else happened? Let's talk about the flip side.
Now, the flip side was the problem that you brought up a lot last year that pissed you off and really made your blood pressure boil with Michigan: turnovers.
That's right.
4 turnovers Michigan had last year, and they had 26 turnovers all last year. And what was sick was, and when you looked at it, there were only 12 teams worse. So 26 turnovers. If you're going to go into that game and you're not going to hold on to your possessions, they're going to have a big problem. My keys for Michigan are to win the field position battle, to have those possessions, and to take advantage of those extra possessions if you can maybe get 1 or 2 turnovers yourself. If they can kind of take a little bit of momentum from Harbaugh and the coaching and being amped up that first game and maybe get a couple turnovers, then I think you got a chance. By all accounts, it's going to be a defensive battle, and it's going to come down to who maybe has the ball with 4 to 5 minutes left and who has that last possession. So in that case, if you have the ball with good field position, then Michigan's going to have a decent chance to kind of maybe come away with it. I do agree with you. They have a chance, but I just don't see it happening. Utah has a little bit more experience and a little bit more talent, and that's why the line is set at as it is, like 5.5, 6 now.
5.5, yep.
So I think the line's perfect where it's set at, and I do think it's going to be in the neighborhood of 23-17 Utah to win the game.
So you're absolutely right. They did a great job for the most part on defense last year. But the turnovers killed them. They sat there and they tried forcing the plays and forcing the ball. And this is the good thing about Jim Harbaugh. This is what he's going to bring to Michigan, and this is how this offense is going to work. It's going to be run first. So by running the ball, you can help mitigate some of those turnovers, and you can maybe cut them in half. Because last year, they were trying to throw the ball, trying to wing it all over the place. Devin Gardner, I don't think, fully understood what was going on with that offense. I don't think the receivers fully understood what was going on with that offense. On top of that, if you have a guy like Jake Rudock, he has experience in the Big Ten. He has a couple years underneath his belt. You're not expecting him to do great things. You're not expecting him to set the world on fire. You just need him not to burn down your program. So if you basically break it down for him like, hey, we don't need you to go out there and we don't need you to throw 4 touchdowns. You got to break it down for him like Matt Stafford. We don't need you to go throw 4 touchdowns. We don't need you to set us on fire. So just control the game, make the timely passes. I don't care if he's a check down king. That's fine. It's fine. Get the ball to your playmakers, let your playmakers make plays, and you'll win this game. You can then win this game.
Now, in looking at the previews and along the sites on Michigan and Utah, the common theme that you hear, special teams. Utah has the advantage with Andy Phillips being an 80% field goal kicker. And again, Michigan enters another season with question marks on special teams and kicker. What's going on with Michigan? They can't get a guy to kick the ball through the uprights? What's the deal? If it comes down to kicks, most people are picking Utah to have the advantage in terms of punter and kicker.
Michigan is at least 2 years away from being highly competitive. And this all goes back to recruiting. And when you break it down, this is what is so good about Michigan State. I'm going to flip it to Michigan State here a little bit. This is what's so good about Michigan State. Michigan State has this built-in infrastructure where they've got guys in a pipeline now, where it doesn't matter if you're a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star. You're coming in, they have a place for you, they know what they want to do with you. Michigan doesn't have that yet. So going into the season, yeah, there's a whole bunch of question marks. Kicker's one of them. They've struggled at having anything on special teams the last 6 years, I'm willing to go. So yes, if this does come down to field goals and kind of trading blows that way, Michigan's going to struggle, and it's going to be a question mark there. But Michigan's got to get the ball to their playmakers, let the guys get out on the edge, and hopefully get into the end zone. And hopefully it doesn't resort to field goals, because you're right, they'll lose. This is something that Michigan does have going for it for special teams. They've got a guy like Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers is going to be a massive key for this team to have success this year. The only way that their special teams and that their defense is remotely productive is if he's a playmaker. He's got to be out there and he's got to do things. He's got to be special. And I don't need him on offense making gigantic plays. I'd like to see him utilized like Charles Woodson was used in that 1997 championship run, where he just kind of comes in. He's kind of their special weapon. Things are kind of getting stagnant. You need something to happen. You throw him out there, toss the ball up to him. He catches it. You picked up 15 yards. Now you're moving the chain again, right? That's what I need from Jabril Peppers. But I think he has to be a playmaker on defense and in special teams.
100%, no doubt about it. And by everyone who's been watching, they say that he's got a good chance this year to have a breakout season. He's done the things necessary to turn things around. Started off a little bit rocky with what his entrance into Michigan and his production his freshman year. But he's going. I do believe that once you have that early, you have those early struggles and you realize that, hey, I got potential, it's time to turn things around. And I do believe that he's going to take that under consideration, really hunker down and be a good guy. So yeah, Jabril Peppers is a guy that is poised to have a breakout season, and I do believe he's doubling down and is going to make all the efforts possible to become a true Michigan man. Now, speaking of Michigan men, Jim Harbaugh has been frequently analyzed. Every part of his delivery in the media, his presentation, his attitude, personality has all been dissected these last 9 months. And a recent article that that was on the Bleacher Report again speaks to the fact that potentially, because of the fact that he hasn't stayed anywhere for 4 years, that he could rub people the wrong way. People are like, well, is he a guy that's kind of, a different kind of guy? Is he a coach that's going to be a motivator? Is he going to be a guy that's just going to go in there and, totally not care what anybody thinks and not work as a team there at Michigan? Here's my thought on that article real fast. Mm-hmm. It's real simple. Jim Harbaugh wins. He can do and say whatever the hell he pleases. He goes in there, wins a Big Ten title relatively quickly. If he wins a national title, forget about it. He can do and say whatever he wants.
Dude, he could play shirts, skins in his underwear.
He'll do whatever he wants.
Man, doesn't matter.
So winning cures all. But I do, and psychologically, it's quite simple. That's why there's these terms out there called the one percenters, and a lot of people use that term to describe the wealthy. but there's also a group of people who are intellectually and socially a little bit different than the norm. Jim Harbaugh, I believe, is like the Doc. He's an upper echelon thinker like the Doc. And so I haven't been anywhere at work more than 4 years. And I was thinking, I'm like, wow, is it me? What's going on? And so what I think is he's a guy that absolutely commands dominance and he commands perfection. And there's not that many people out there like that, like the Doc, like yourself, Jock. I think you're close. You're in the 5%ers.
Yeah. Can I tell you what I see between you and Jim Harbaugh?
We're the same.
You're both weird. That's all it really is. You're both just absolutely weird.
We are one and the same. So now I have a new affinity and a new way of looking at Coach Jim Harbaugh, because the article was like, yeah, he goes in there, he really just he would go into the general manager of San Francisco's office and just basically in there every day grinding him. But you think San Francisco is going to have that same success that they have now?
No.
That they had previously? No. They're not going to have that success. In order to have ultimate success, to get to the Super Bowl, and in order to build stuff or build maybe a podcast network, you got to be, put your nose to the grindstone and do some things that are different. Nobody thought that we would actually put a camera on ourselves and broadcast a podcast and have people follow it. That's crazy. So you have to kind of be that way.
We did that twice today, as the Twitter feed was hijacked.
Well, the Doc's
Periscope feed was hijacked.
So now I learned that if a phone call takes place, it just cuts off your Periscope.
It does. Periscope down.
But I don't like the narrative of calling Jim Harbaugh weird. Yes, he's different, but just because he doesn't want to talk to the media and he's rather boring to listen to, doesn't mean that he's not effective. I think he's a good coach. He's a guy that's going to 100% put in the work, and his ultimate goal is to bring success to the University of Michigan. And people like that you root for and you say are going to be successful. So if he has success, but for Jim Harbaugh, the Doc's counsel is you better win. Because if you don't win, people are going to start talking, and it's going to be it's going to close in on you. People are going to start talking, and the narrative is going to be he's annoying, he's tough to listen to. Talking to him week after week is going to be nothing come out of it.
Is he here for more than 4 years?
That's a great question. My personal opinion is, if he wins, I'm going to start like hashtag Harbaugh for the Lions. That's my thing. Because if he wins, I would say the Lions should scoop him right up, get that NFL success, because what else is left? But I do think he's going to be here for more than 4 years. This is his dream job. And if he has any monicum of success, it's going to be super tough to leave because he's going to be the king of Ann Arbor.
He'll stay here for at least that 7-year contract, I think. I think he'll fulfill that. I want to say he's going to be here for 10. I think you already answered it, but Utah being 5.5-point favorites, does that seem excessive to you? I mean, Michigan does have to go on the road here.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's a perfect. I think people are looking at this to be a defensive struggle. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and I do think that potentially that Michigan has a chance to get off to a good start, but Utah's going to be too much. So I'm thinking it's going to be between a one-possession game, and it's going to be a game that you can watch from 8:30 to 11:30, and there'll be drama all the way through. I don't think that Utah's going to blow out Michigan. Michigan's going to be in there defensively. They're going to hang with Utah as much as possible, but I think a couple key plays are just going to fall in Utah's favor, and it'll be a good showing, but with a loss to Michigan. That's what's going to happen.
I think this is set up perfectly. 5.5 points is perfect because it draws you in. It makes you want to view it. You got to look at what happened last year. Utah came to Michigan, trounced Michigan at home, 26-10. I think they only scored one offensive touchdown, though, but just beat them up. So I think this year's Michigan team, with a little bit of the Harbaugh pixie dust, I think they're a better team instantly, right off bat, because he's going to wear a headset. He's going to coach. He has been coaching. On top of it, there's all kinds of oars all over this depth chart. So you have no idea who to prepare for. And Utah has come out and said as much. They've said that they're sitting there studying numerous tapes. When you start studying all those tapes, it becomes quite hard to really dial in and focus on what you're trying to stop and who you're trying to stop. So that being said, if I was a betting man, I'm taking Michigan and the 5 points, 5.5 points. I think they'll lose. I think they might lose by 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
Now, the game that is quite relaxing on my end, I do believe that Michigan State is going to have relatively little difficulty going to Western and dominating. It's going to be a game where we're going to get a chance to see
Michigan State bravado. Yes. It's only taken maybe 2 years for this, but it's about damn time.
I'm going to say this. Okay.
Against a MAC school.
Yeah, Woo-hoo! On the road.
Look at you go. Show off your tail feathers.
We're covering. 17.5, you said? We're covering.
It's moved up to 18, I believe.
We're covering that. It's going to be a 55-21 game. We're going to dominate.
Damn.
Yeah, we're going to come. You said it, pump your chest out. I'm going to do that for Michigan State.
Woo!
Connor Cook, said it stinks that he wasn't named captain, and people are like, well, how should he take it? It should be taken as an insult. I mean, it's kind of, a little bit unusual that an upperclassman isn't viewed as a captain, but Connor Cook is not going to turtle. He's going to use that as motivation to have an even better season. So look out for him. I predicted he's going to go like 27-32, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's going to just go out there and show everybody why he deserves to be captain.
Does he win the Heisman?
Hell no.
Oh,
hey, come on now.
Not that confident.
No.
Not that confident.
I can start the hype train that Connor Cook could win it, but I just,
I was really hoping I'd catch you at the moment there. You were all pumped up, and I was going to slip that in there. You'd be like, yay! Yeah, he's going to win it.
No, he's not going to win it. But what the good thing is, it's quite simple to see. Michigan State's going to dominate. It's dominant on the offensive line. They got returning players that have been very successful. Now, Madre London has been named the starter. Look for him to have a great freshman season. And look for the Michigan State to just line up and smash mouth football, baby. Run some more. And they're going to use the run to set up the pass. Simple game plan. All you got to do, when you look on the field on Friday when the game starts, you're going to see the difference. Michigan State offensive line are men. Western are puny, scrawny wannabes. And that's simple as that. Now, Western has some talent for sure, and Western has a great, interesting coach that people are talking about. But this is a game that's really simple for Michigan State to execute their game plan on both the offensive and defensive front, and they're going to dominate. So real simple, just run the ball, keep things clean, no mistakes, don't overlook Western, and you should run away quickly.
I'm glad you said that Michigan State is so good offensively, because you know where they're even better at? It's on that defensive line. The defensive line is disgustingly good. And they're going to have to sit there and go up against a guy like Zach Terrell, who completes almost 70% of his passes. The guy threw 26 touchdowns yesterday. He's no joke. I know he's in the MAC. I get that, right? But he sat there and he led that team to an 8-5 record last year. They got a stud wide receiver who's had over 1,400 yards last year with Corey Davis. They got another guy in the slot who had almost 1,000 yards. So they've got some talent on that team. They have a true freshman who rushed for over 1,500 yards last year and 24 touchdowns. So that defensive front for Michigan State, they're going to have their hands full. But I think you're right. I think they're equal to the task. I think that Connor Cook's going to play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and this is what Mark D'Antonio does so well. He motivates these players and forces them to play so angry that they got slighted, whether it be factual or it be just made out of thin air. So Connor Cook's going to take him not being named captain. He's going to run with it, right? My teammates don't even believe in me. Well, screw them. I'm going to show them. That defense, we're not ranked in the top 4. We're not the best team in the Big Ten. All these naysayers, they're going to run with it. And they're going to sit there and they're going to take that out on Western and every team after that. That offense, we have nobody on the outside. Watch what we do. Watch us run deep. Watch Connor Cook hit us and watch us just run up points. Put points on the board. Watch this. And this is something that has been bred and ingrained into this Michigan State program. Come to us. Yeah, we know you're a 2 and 3 star. Those big schools don't want you. We want you. We're going to turn you into something. Watch what we do with you. I mean, look at all the Bula boys, right? I mean, there's 3 that have gone there? And I think coming out of school, all those guys were somewhere right around 3-star players, and now they're playing in the NFL, you know? And this is just what Mark D'Antonio does. He sits there and he plays this little mind game with you where he sits there and warps your perspective on everything and makes you think that everybody hates you and is dissing you. And it works. I mean, who are we to sit there and say that he's flawed in his system? Because he sits there and he turns it around. I think you're right. Where they are built the best is along the offensive and defensive fronts. And that's what's going to give Western the hardest part on Friday night because they're going to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the game gets out of hand early. We can get a chance to look at backup running backs Gerald Holmes or LJ Scott, see what they can do. And games like this, you can kind of get a chance to see what your team has. If you can get out to a good, healthy lead, maybe 21, 28 points by the second half, then you can roll out some freshmen and see what they can do, keep Connor Cook upright and healthy.
Dude, I'm expecting second, third, fourth stringers by the mid-third quarter.
Yes, and that's good. Now, are you going to double down maybe and carry over the weekend of college football fun and check in on Ohio State, Virginia Tech?
I'll double watch as much football as I can possibly watch.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and this is such a great time now. We are in the fall. we have a chance now to break down the Lions, Michigan State. We've got a whole bunch of new insiders that I've reached out to and looked at, and we're going to have, in a couple weeks, we're going to have some insiders from Michigan State who write for these great websites. So stay tuned to this podcast because people are finding us. They are liking the fact that, hey, we let you talk and we're not restricted by much. We can start whenever we want. We can broadcast ourselves, and people actually love, because 15,000 hearts in 3 weeks.
That's pretty good.
People are pushing that screen.
Pretty good.
My goodness.
It's because you're sexy troll face.
I don't know.
That's what that is.
No. If you look at the Periscope when you watch
you
it,
rocking the beard though. It looks good.
It's good work. No, what I do is it's featured basically on you, and then my little side.
It's just a little side view.
Exactly, and I'm just little like the mic and the face, so I got it perfectly set up.
It's a good thing I'm a good looking dude.
It's good. Football's going to start. Let's hope everything works out good for Michigan and Michigan State. We want to have fun this season with college football. I know that it's going to be healthy competition. And you and I are going to definitely be in tune, and we're going to definitely find and seek out people who are in the know and put them on this podcast because that's what we do. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Thank you so much for downloading episode 108. Greatly appreciate it.
Go Wolverines, go Lions.
I have voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk.